Come. Dustin. Tell me, so it's really for personal recording reasons. Can I get a little 5-inch monitor to go hooks to the bottom and drop my down?
Yeah, yes sir. To start with that.
Video. 500 lines of resolution. Complete editing capabilities. 16-bit stereo. It's like $3,800. Oh, that's retail. I sell Canon where I work. I hope Hoopers. I'll say is I sell Canon cameras. And I bought this one when I was working at Orbit, and I love it. It's small. Yeah, ES5000. Yeah, it's top of it's right below the L2, and I couldn't afford $3,800 for it either. Image stabilization. Incredible. Look at the viewfinder. This thing is like humongous. It's like one of the biggest viewfinders for it. I work with a band, I run lights, I sing for a band, occasionally when I want to do it, I shoot like just a video for the band, and I want something like less than the clubs we're playing and have TV monitors everywhere, and I was thinking about just getting one vinyl UHF antenna, hooking it into the main cable system, and just transmitting the video to it, so like when I'm moving around, people can see like what I'm seeing. That's the only reason. Just when I get the somebody else can see it. Shoot this one. Just do something about the air.
Yeah, they'll flick them anyway. know they just did it.
Hi, we're glad you could join us tonight for Oak Grove's production of Our Town. We apologize for the delay. We're trying to let the lights get down some so that the lights that we have are a bit more effective. We appreciate you being patient with us. I'm going to ask you to take a step back in time. Thornton Wilder wrote Our Town, and Our Town's a bit different from most plays. If you'll notice on stage, there's very little scenery. What I'm asking you to do tonight is not only step back in time, but use your imaginations. We want you to become a part of our play and a member of Our Town. I'm sure that you, like we have, will see many people that you recognize within the members of the cast. Enjoy. We'll see you after the show.
The name of this play is Our Town. It was written by Thornton Wilder and produced by Miss Anita Collins. In it, you'll see Mr. Jason Gilbert, Mr. Chris Somerville, Mr. Aaron Andrews, Miss Julia Parker, Miss Casey Jones, Miss Dawn Hammaker, and many others too numerous to mention. The name of our town is Grover's Corners, New Hampshire, just across the line from Massachusetts. Latitude, 40 degrees, 32 minutes. Longitude, 70 degrees, 37 minutes. First act shows a day in our town. It's May 7th, 1901, just before dawn. Oh yeah, just about. The sky's beginning to show some streaks of light over in the east back of our mountain. Morning star always gets one of the bright the minute before it has to get up. Well, let me show you how our town lies. Up here is Main Street, and cutting across it over on the left is the railroad tracks, and just across the tracks is Polish Town. You know, immigrant families that come here to work in the mill. A couple of Catholic families, and the Catholic Church. Presbyterians over there, the Congregational across the street, Methodist and Unitarian over there, Baptist is down in the hall by the river. Along Main Street, there's some rows of stores, horse blocks, and hitching posts out front. First car is going to come along in about 5 years, belong to our town's richest citizen, Banker Cartwright. Lives in that big white house up there on the hill. Grocery store is over there, and Mr. Morgan's drugstore is over there. Most everybody in town manages to drop in these stores at least once a day. Back here's our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. Here's the back door, and here are a couple of trellises for those who feel they have to have scenery. This is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Corn, beans, hollyhock, heliotrope, and a lot of burdock. Back in those days, our newspapers came out twice a week. Grover's Corner Sentinel. And here's Mr. Webb's house. And over here is Mrs. Webb's garden. Same as Mrs. Gibbs, only it's got a lot of sunflowers. And back here is a big butternut tree. Nice town, you know what I mean? Nobody very remarkable ever come out of it as far as we know. Earliest dates on the tombstones up there in the cemetery say 1670. There's Grovers and Cartwrights, Gibbses and Herseys. Same names as around here now. Well, as I said, it's early morning. Only lights on in town are in a cottage over by the tracks where Polish mothers just gave birth to twins. And in the Joe Prohl house where Joe Jr. is getting ready to deliver the morning paper. And in the depot where Shorty Hawkins is getting ready to flag the 545 to Boston. Oh yeah, there she is now. Naturally, out in the country, lights have been on for some time, what with milking and so on. But town folks like to sleep late. So another day's begun. Well, here comes Doc Gibbs back down on Main Street from that baby case. Well, here comes Mrs. Gibbs downstairs to make her breakfast. Doc Gibbs died in 1930. Ms. Gibbs died first, a long time ago in fact. Went out to visit her daughter Rebecca, who married an insurance man out in Canton, Ohio. She died out there, pneumonia. But her body was brought back here. She's up there in the cemetery now, in with a whole mess of Gibbses and Herseys. She was Julia Hersey before she married Dr. Gibbs in the Congregational Church. In our town, we like to know the facts about everybody. Oh, here comes Mrs. Webb downstairs to get her breakfast. Oh, that's Doc Gibbs. Got the call at 1:30 this morning to go to Polish Town. And there's Joe Crow delivering Mr. Webb's sentence.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, Doug.
Want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it.
Anybody been sick, Doc?
No, some twins over at Postown, Joe. I see your teacher, Miss Foster, is going to get married.
Yes, sir. To a fellow over in Concord.
Well, I declare. Well, how do you boys feel about that?
Well, it's not really any of my business. But the way I see it, if a person starts out to be a teacher, she ought to stay one.
How's your knee, Joe?
Fine, Doc. Never think about it at all. Only like you said, it always tells me when it's gonna rain.
What's it telling you today? Going to rain?
No, sir.
Sure?
Yes, sir.
Never make a mistake.
No, sir.
I want to tell you something about that boy, Joe Kroll there. Joe was awful bright. Graduated high school here ahead of his class. So he got a scholarship to Boston Tech. The MIT, that is. Graduated ahead of his class there, too. He's written up in all the Boston papers at the time. Going to be a great engineer, Joe was. But the war broke out, and he died in France. Yes, sir. All that education for nothing. What business he had picking a quarrel with the Germans, we can't make out to this day. But it all seemed perfectly right at the time.
Get out, Bessie. Come on, what's the matter with you?
Well, here comes Howie Newsom delivering the milk.
Morning, Doc. Morning, Howard. Somebody sick? No. Parents twins over at Mrs. Garslowski's.
Twins. Yeah, this sounds getting bigger every year.
You going to rain, Howard?
No. No. Fine, Bessie. It'll burn through. Come on, Bessie.
Hello, Bessie. How old is she, Howard?
Going on 17. Bessie's all mixed up about the route since the Lockhart stopped taking their quarter milk every day. She wants to leave away just the same. Keep scolding the whole trip. Morning, Miss Skip.
Good morning, Howie.
Doctor's coming down the street.
Is he? Seems like you're late today.
And something wrong with the separator. Don't know what it was.
Doc? Howard?
Children, time to get up.
Yeah.
George, Rebecca, you'll be late for school. Is everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. Easy as kittens.
Think we'll be ready in a minute. Sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple hours sleep this morning, can't you?
Miss Wentworth's coming at 11. Guess I know what it's about, too. Her stomach ain't let it off, baby.
All told, you won't get more than 3 hours sleep. I declare, Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's going to become of you. I do wish you'd go away someplace and take a rest. I think it would do you good. Children, time to get up. Wally, Emily, it's 7 o'clock. I declare, you've got to speak to George. Seems like something's come over him lately. He's no help to me at all. I can't even get him to help me cut some wood.
Is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he thinks about is that baseball. George!
George, look sharp.
Yes, Pa.
Don't you hear your mother calling you?
Wally, you'll be late for school!
Guess I'll go upstairs and take 40 winks.
Wally, you wash yourself good or I'll come up and do it myself. Mom, what dress shall I wear? Don't make such a noise. Your father's been out all night and needs to sleep. I washed and ironed your blue gingham for you special.
Oh, Ma, I hate that dress.
Oh, hush up and get you.
Every day I go to school dressed like a sick turkey.
Now, Rebecca, you always look very nice.
Mama, George is throwing soap at me.
I'll come up and slap you both of you. That's what I'll do. Children, now I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal. I won't have you gobbling like wolves. It'll stunt your growth, that's a fact. Wally, put away your book.
Oh, Mom, by 10 o'clock I've got to know all about Canada.
You know the rules well as I do. No books at table. As for me, I'd rather have my children help me than write.
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have
breakfast. I'll speak to your father about it when he's rested. Seems to me 25 cents a week's enough for a boy of your age. I declare, I don't know how you spend it all.
Oh, Ma, I got lots of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphates, that's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca has so much money. I mean, she's got more than $1.
I've been saving it as a graduate. Well, dear, I think it is a good thing to spend some every now and then.
Mama, you know what I love most in the world? Do you? Money.
Eat your breakfast.
There's the first bill. I gotta go.
Wally.
Now walk fast, but you don't have to run. Wally, pull up your pants at the knee.
Tell Miss Foster I sent her my best congratulations. Can you remember that?
Yes, Ma.
You look real nice, Rebecca. Pick up your feet. Here, chick, chick, chick. No, you go away. You don't belong to me. Where did you come from? Oh, don't be scared. Nobody's going to hurt you. Good morning, Myrtle. How's your cold?
Well, I still get that tickling feeling in my throat. I told Charles I didn't know if I'd go to choir rehearsal tonight. While I'm resting myself, I thought I'd string up some of these things.
Things have been good this year. Let me help.
Yeah, I decided to put up 40 quarts that kills me. Children say they hate them, but I noticed they're able to keep them down all winter.
Now, Myrtle, I've got to tell you something, because if I don't tell somebody, I'll burst.
Why, Julia gives.
Myrtle, did one of those second-hand furniture men from Boston come to see you last Friday? No. Well, he called on me. First, I thought he was a patient, wanting to see Dr. Gibbs, and he wormed his way into my parlor. And Myrtle Webb, he offered me $350 for Grandmother Wentworth's highboy. As I'm sitting here,
Why, Julia gives.
he did. Why, that old thing, it was so big, I didn't know where I was going to put it. And I almost gave it to Cousin Hester Wilcox.
Well, you are going to take it, are you?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't know. $350? What's come over you?
Well, if I could get the doctor to take the money and go away someplace on the trip, I'd sell it like that. You know, Myrtle, it's been the dream of my life to see Paris, France. Oh, it sounds crazy, I suppose, but I've been promising myself for years that if we ever
How
had
does
a
Mama
chance...
feel about it?
Well, I did beat about the bush a little. I said if I got a legacy, that's the way I put it, I'd make him take me.
What did he say?
You know how he is. I haven't heard a serious word out of him since I've known him. No, he said, it might make him discontented with Grover's Corner to go traipsing about Europe. Better leave well enough alone, he said. Every 2 years, he takes a trip to the battlefield of the Civil War, and that's enough treat for anybody, he says.
Well, Mr. Webb just admires the way Dr. Gibbs knows everything about the Civil War. He's a good mind to give up Napoleon and move over to the Civil War. Only Dr. Gibbs, being one of the greatest experts in the country, just makes him despair.
It's a fact. Dr. Gibbs is never so happy as when he's at Gettysburg or in town. Myrtle, the times I walked over those hills, stopping at every bush and passing it all out like we was going to buy it.
Well, if that second-hand man's serious about buying it, Julia, you sell it. Then you get to see Paris all right. Just keep dropping hints from time to time. That's how I got to see the Atlantic Ocean, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry I mentioned it. It just seems to me that once in your life, before you die, you ought to see a country where they don't speak in English and don't even want to.
Thank you very much, ladies. Now I think it's a good time to interrupt here. I think we will need a little more information about our town. Kind of a scientific account, you might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our state university to come give us a few details of our past history here. Well, Professor Willard, allow me to introduce Professor Willard of our state university. Professor, just a few brief details of it. Unfortunately, our time is limited.
Grover's Corners. Let me see. Grover's Corners lies in the old Pliocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it's the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that here. Of course, there are some more recent outcroppings. Sandstone showing through a shelf of Devonian basalt and some vestiges of Mesozoic shale. But these are comparatively new. Perhaps 200 to 300 million years. Some highly interesting fossils have been found. I may say unique fossils in Silas Peckham's cow pasture. These may be seen in the museum at the university at any time. That is, in reasonable time. Should I read some of Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation and the precipitation, etc.?
Now, I'm afraid we don't have time for that, Professor. We might have a few words on the history of man here, you know.
Oh, anthropological data.
Yes.
Early Amerindian stock. Cottahanchee tribe. No evidence before the 10th century of this era. Now entirely disappeared. Oh, possible traces of 3 families. Migration in the early part of the 17th century of English brachiosphilic fluid stock. Since then, some Slavic Mediterranean.
And the population, Professor Willard?
Within the town limits, 2,640.
Just a minute, Professor.
Oh, the population at the moment is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Mortality birth rate constant. By McPherson's gauge, 6.032.
Thank you very much, Professor Willard. I'm sure we're all very much obliged to you.
Not at all, sir, not at all.
Now, the political and social report. Editor Webb. Oh, Mr. Webb.
He'll be here in a minute. He just got a cane while eating an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles, everybody's waiting.
Mr. Webb is the editor and publisher of our town paper, Grover's Corner Sentinel, you know.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by board of selection. All males vote to age of 21. Women vote indirect. We're lower middle class, sprinkled on professional men. 10% are literate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republican, 6% Democrat, 4% Socialist. The rest are different. Religiously, we're 86% Protestant, 12% Catholic. The rest are different.
Have any comments, Mr. Webb?
Very ordinary town, if you ask me. A little better behaved than most. Probably a lot duller. But our young people here seem to like it well enough. 90% of them graduating from high school settle down right here to live, even if they've been away to college.
Now, are there any people in the audience that would like to ask Editor Webb any questions about our town? You over there to the side.
Is there much drinking in Grover's Corner?
Well, ma'am, I always know what you call much. Saturday nights, farmhands meet down at Elder Greenhouse Stable in Holliston. Well, we've got 1 or 2 town drunks, but they're always having remorses every time the evangelist comes to town. No, ma'am, I'd say liquor ain't a regular thing in the home here, except in the medicine chest. Right good for a snake bite, you know? Always was.
You.
Is no one aware?
Would you come forward, please, where we all can hear you? Now, what was it you wanted to ask?
Is no one aware of the social injustice with industrial inequality?
Oh, yes, everybody is. Something terrible. Seems like they spend most of their time talking about who's rich and who's poor.
Then why don't they do something about it?
Well, I don't know. I guess we're all hunting like everybody else is for whether the diligent and sensible can rise to the top and the lazy and quarrelsome sink to the bottom. But it ain't easy to find. In the meantime, we do all we can to take care of those who can't help themselves. And those that can, we leave alone. Are there any other questions?
Is there any culture or love of beauty in Grover's Corner?
Well, ma'am, there isn't much. Not in the sense that you mean. Come to think of it, we got a couple of girls that play piano up at the high school commencement, but they ain't real happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture. But maybe this is the place to tell you, we got lots of pleasures of the kind here. We like the sun coming up over the mountains in the morning. We all notice a good deal about the birds. Pay a lot of attention to them. And we watch the changes of the seasons. Yes, everybody knows about that. But you're right, ma'am. About those other things, there ain't much. Robinson Crusoe and the Bible, Handel's Largo, well, we all know that. And Whistler's Mother. That's just about as far as we got.
Now let's get back to the town. It's 2 o'clock. All 2,642 had their lunches and the dishes been washed. Children have gone back to school, and there's a buzzing and a humming coming from the school buildings. There's an early afternoon calm about the town. You all know what that's like. Doc Gibbs is over in his office, tapping people, making them say, ah. And Mr. Webb's over here cutting his lawn. 1 man in 10 thinks it's a privilege to push his own lawnmower.
I can't, Lois. I gotta go home and help my mom.
Emily, walk simply. What do you think you are today?
Oh, Papa, you're terrible. One minute you tell me to stand up straight, the next minute you call me names. I just don't listen to you.
Well, golly, I never got a kiss from such a great lady before.
Excuse me, Miss Forrest. You go out and play in the field, young man. You have no business playing baseball on Main Street. Awful sorry, Miss Forrest. Hello, Emily.
And hello.
You made a fine speech in class today.
Well, I was really ready to make a speech on the Monroe Doctrine, but at the last minute, Miss Cochran made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
You know, Emily, from all the way up there, I can see your head at nights when you're doing your homework.
Why can't you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't see how a person can sit still that long.
I always feel it's something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind, really. It passes the time.
Emily, what do you think? We might work a telegraph from your window to mine, and once in a while, you can give me a hint or two about those algebra problems. Oh, I don't mean the hints. Of course not, Emily. You know, just some little...
Well, I think hints are allowed, George. So if you get stuck, you whistle to me, and I'll give you some hints.
Thanks a lot, Emily. You're just naturally bright.
I feel it's the way a person's born.
Yeah, but you see, I want to be a farmer. And my Uncle Luke says that whenever I can start working on his farm. And if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah. Well, I better begin after the baseball field. It's good talking with you, Emily. Good afternoon, Miss Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George. Emily, don't let me string these things. Well, George Gibbs let himself have a real conversation today, didn't he? He's growing up. How old would George be? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. He must be almost 16. Mama, I made a speech in class today, and I was very good. You must recite it to your father at supper. What was it about? The Louisiana Purchase. It was like silk off a spool. I'm going to make speeches all my life. Mama, are these big enough? Try and get them a little bigger if you can. Mama, will you answer me a question serious? Seriously, dear, not serious. Seriously, will you? Of course I will. Mama, am I good looking? Yes, of course you are. Both of my children got good features. Well, I'd be ashamed if they hadn't. Oh, Mama, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty? I've already told you yes. Now that's enough of that. You're pretty enough for all normal purposes. I've never heard of such foolishness. Oh, Mama, you never tell us the truth about anything. I am telling you the truth. Mama, were you pretty? Yes, if I do say it, well, I was the prettiest girl in town next to Laney Cartwright. Oh, Mama, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty enough to get anybody, to get people interested? Emily, you make me tired. Now stop it. You have a nice, young, pretty face. Now come along with you and bring that bowl. Oh, Mama, you're no help at all.
Thank you very much, ladies. Now I think it's a good time to tell you that Cartwright interested in town up together building a new bank in Grover's Corners. I had to go to Vermont to get the marble, sorry to say, but they've asked a friend of mine what they should put in the cornerstone. They put in a copy of the New York Times and a copy of Mr. Webb's Sentinel. I'm very interested in this because some scientists fellows have found a way of coating all that reading matter with a kind of glue, a silica glue, make it last 1,000, 2,000 years. Here they're putting in a copy of the Bible and a copy of William Shakespeare's plays and a copy of the Constitution of the U.S. And I'm going to have them put in a copy of this play so that people 1,000 years from now will know this is the way we work in the provinces north of New York. This is the way we work in our growing up, in our marrying, in our living, and in our dying. Let's get back to the tale. It's evening. There's choir practice going on in the Congregational Church, and the children are at home doing their schoolwork. Days running down like a tired clock.
Alright, try again. And remember, ladies, music came in this world to give us pleasure. Now try again.
Before our Father's throne, we pour our ardent prayers, our fears, our hopes, our aims, our wants, our comforts and
Softer! Now look here, everybody, get it out of your heads. Music only sounds good when it's loud. If the loudest to the Methodist, you couldn't beat them if you wanted to. Now try it again. Tenors.
Blessed be the star that shines.
Hey, Emily.
Hello?
Hello.
Isn't the moonlight terrible?
Emily, did you get that third problem?
Which?
The third.
Why, yes, George, that's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it.
I'll tell you one thing. The answer's in yards.
Oh, yards. Well, what do you mean?
In square yards.
Oh, square yards.
Yes, George, don't you see?
Yeah.
In square yards of wallpaper.
Oh, in square yards of wallpaper. Thanks a lot, Emily.
You're welcome. My, isn't the moonlight terrible? And choir practice going on. I think if you hold your breath, you can hear the train all the way to Kennecook. Hear it?
Well, what do you know?
Well, I guess I better go back and try to work again.
Good night, Emily.
Good night, George.
That's better. It ain't no miracle. Before I forget, how many of y'all be able to come in and sing Fred Hurst's wedding on Tuesday? Show your hand. That'll be nice. That'll be right now. Now, once again, art thou weary, art thou languid? It's a question, ladies and gentlemen. Make it tough.
George, can you come down a minute?
Yes, Paul. And remember Sunday, ladies, to take the second verses a little soft and sort of die out at the end. Ready?
Make yourself comfortable, George. I'll only give you a minute. George, how old are you?
Me, Paul? Well, I'm 16, almost 17.
What do you want to do after school's over?
Why, you know, Paul. I want to be a farmer on Uncle Luke's farm.
You'll be willing, will you, to get up early and milk and feed the stock and hoe and hay all day?
Sure I will, Paul. Well, what do you mean?
Well, George, when I was in my office today, I heard a funny sound. And what do you think it was? It was your mother chopping wood. There you see your mother getting up early, cooking meals all day long, washing and ironing, and still she has to go out in the backyard and chop wood. I suppose she just got tired of asking you. She just gave up and decided to do it herself. And you eat her meals, and put on the clothes she keeps nice for you, and you run off and play baseball, like she's some hired girl to keep around the house. But that we don't like very much. Well, all I knew how to do was call your attention to it. Here's an handkerchief, son.
Thanks, Paul.
George, I've decided to raise her spending money 25 cents a week. Not, of course, for chopping wood for your mother, because that's sort of a present you give her, but because you're getting older, and I imagine there are lots of things you must find to do with it.
Paul?
Rebecca feels she ought to have some more too. Wonder what could be keeping your mother? Choir practice never was as late as this before.
Well, it's only 8:30, Paul.
I don't know why she's not a choir anyway. She hasn't got any more voice than those road. And Tracy around these streets at this hour of the night. It's about time you retired, don't you think?
Yes, Paul.
Good night, Martha. Night, Mr. Foster. I'll tell Mr. Webb. Oh, no, we want to put in the papers.
My, isn't it late?
Good night, Irma.
Real nice choir practice, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Marta Webb, look at that move. Tater weather for sure.
Well, naturally, I didn't want to say a word about it in front of those others. But now we're along really, the worst scandal ever was in this town.
What?
Simon Stinson.
Now, Luella.
But Julia, to have the organist of a church drink and drunk year after year.
Luella.
Julia, you know he was drunk.
Now, Luella, we all know about Simon Stinson, and we all know about the troubles he's been through. And Dr. Ferguson knows too. And if Dr. Ferguson keeps him on there in his job, then the only thing the rest of us can do is just not to notice it.
Not to notice it, but it's getting worse.
No, it isn't, Luella. It's getting better. I'm in that choir twice as long as you have.
It doesn't happen anywhere else near so often.
Ma, I hate to go to bed on a night like this. Gracious, I better hurry.
Those children will be sitting up till all over. Good night, Luella, Julia.
Good night, Myrtle. Can you get home safe, Luella?
Oh, it's as bright as day. I can see Mr. Saul scowling out the windows now. You'd think we'd been to a dance the way those men folk carry on. Good night, Julia.
Good night, Luella.
See you on Sunday.
See you then. Well, we had a real nice time.
You're late enough.
Why, Frank, it isn't any later than usual.
And stopping at the corner to gossip with a lot of men.
Frank, don't be grouchy. Come out in the moonlight and smell my heliotrope. Come on.
What were the girls gossiping about tonight?
Well, believe me, Frank, there was something to gossip about.
Simon Stinson far gone, was he?
Worst I ever seen him. How'd that end, Frank? Dr. Ferguson can't keep forgiving him forever.
I guess I know more about Simon Stinson's affairs than anybody in this town. Some people ain't made for small town life. I don't know how that'll end, but the best we can do is just leave it alone. Come on, it's getting late.
No, not yet, Frank. I'm worried about you.
What are you worried about?
Well, I think it's my duty for you to get a real rest and change. And if I get that legacy, I'm going to insist on it.
Now, Julia, there's no sense in going over that again.
Frank, you're just unreasonable.
Come on, it's getting late. First thing you know, you catch death and COVID. I gave George a piece of my mind tonight. I reckon you'll have the wood shop, for a while anyway. No, so I'll get upstairs.
Oh, there's always so many things to pick up, seems like. You know, Frank, Mrs. Fairchild always locks her front door at night. All those people at that part of town do.
They're all getting city-fied. That's the trouble with them. They haven't got anything fit to burgle and everybody knows it.
Get out, Rebecca. There's only one room for one at this window.
Well, let me look just a minute.
Use your own window.
I did, but there's no moon there. You know what I think, George? Do you? I think the moon's getting nearer and nearer. There'll be a big explosion.
Rebecca, you don't know anything. I mean, if the moon was getting near, then the people who sit up all night with telescopes would see it first. It would be in all the newspapers.
George, is the moon shining on Canada, South America, and the whole world?
Well, probably is.
9:30. Most of the lights in town are out. Constable Warren's over here on Main Street trying a few doors, making sure everything's settled down for the night. Here comes Mr. Webb down Main Street now, back from putting his paper to bed.
Good evening, Bill. Hey, Miss Webb. By the moon.
Yeah.
Everything all right tonight?
Simon Stimpson's running around a little. Just saw his wife moving out to hunt for him. So I looked the other way. There he is now.
Good evening, Simon. Town seems to have settled down pretty well tonight, don't you think? Yes, town seems to have settled down pretty well tonight. Don't you think we ought to do the same? Gonna walk along the ways with you? Good night.
I don't know how that's gonna end, Mr. Webb.
Well, he's in a peck of trouble, one thing after another. Oh, Bill, you see my kid smoking these cigarettes? You give him a word for me, will you? Thanks a lot of you, Bill.
I don't think he smokes no cigarettes, Mr. Webb. At least ways not more than 2 or 3 times a year.
Well, I hope not. Good night, Bill.
Good night, Mr. Webb.
Who's that up there? Is that you, Myrtle?
No, it's me, Papa.
Why aren't you in bed?
I don't know. I can't sleep yet. Isn't the moonlight wonderful? And the smell of Miss Gibbs' heliotrope. Can you smell it?
Yes. Having any troubles on your mind? Have you, Emily?
Troubles, Papa? No.
Well, don't let your mother catch you. Good night, Emily.
Good night, Papa. I never told you about that letter that Jane Rosa got from her minister when she was sick. She wrote her letter, and on the envelope it said, Jane Rosa, Croquet Farm, Sutton County, Rivers Corners, New Hampshire, United States of America.
What's funny about that?
But listen, it's not finished. United States of America, continent of North America, Western Hemisphere, the Earth, the solar system, the universe, the mind of God. That's what's on the envelope.
Well, what do you know?
Yep, and the postman brought it just the same.
Well, what do you know?
Well, that's the end of the first act, folks. Those that smoke can go out and smoke now. Come up over 1,000 times. Summers and winters have cracked the mountains a little bit. The rains have brought down some of the dirt. Some babies that weren't even born before commenced talking regular sentences. And the number of people who thought they were right young and spry have noticed they can't bound up a flight of steps like they used to without their heart fluttering a little. All that can happen in 1,000 days. Nature's been pushing and contriving in other ways too. A number of young people fell in love and got married. Yep, mountain got bit away a few fractions of an inch. Millions of gallons of water passed by the mill, and a new home was set up under it. The first act was called The Daily Life. This act is called Love and Marriage. So, it's July 7th. It's 1904. Just after high school commencement. That's the time when most of our young people jump up and get married. They suddenly see themselves fit after they finish their last examination of solid geometry and Cicero's orations. Well, it's morning again. Only this time it's rain, pouring and thunder. Mrs. Gibbs' garden, Mrs. Webb's, drenched. All those bean poles and pea vines, drenched. Yesterday along Main Street, looked like curtains being blown along. Don't know now. Might begin again in a minute. Well, here comes Mrs. Gibbs, Mrs. Webb coming downstairs to get their breakfast. As if this were any ordinary morning. Oh, I don't have to remind the women in the audience, both the ladies they see before them, both these ladies cook 3 meals a day, no summer vacations. Had 2 children apiece, washed, cleaned the house, never had a nervous breakdown. It's like what one of those Midwest poets said. You got to love life to have life, but you got to have life to love life. It's what they call a vicious circle.
Yeah, Betsy.
Well, here comes Howie Newsom, Bessie delivering the milk. And there's Cy Kroll, delivering his paper like the brother before him.
Morning, Howie.
Morning, Ty. Anything in the paper I ought to know?
Not much, except Grover's Corners is losing about the best baseball pitcher it ever had.
Yeah, reckon he is.
Now all we'll be doing is pitching hay.
Whoa, Bessie. Now I can stop and talk about mine too.
He could hit too and run bases.
Plus mighty fine ball player.
I don't see how he could give up a thing like that just to get married. Would you have, Howie?
Can't tell, Si. Never had no talent that way, you know.
Morning, Howard.
Morning, Bill. You're up early.
Morning, Mr. Warren.
Seeing if there's anything I can do to prevent a flood, rivers can rise on.
It's our crowd here. Well, he's all broke up about George Gibbs retiring from baseball.
Yes, sir. That's the way it goes. In '84, we had a player side. Even George Gibbs in the Dutch him. And Hank Todd went down to Maine and become a Parson. Wonderful ball player. Howard, how's that weather seem to you?
Oh, think bad. Think maybe it'll clear up. Bill?
Howard.
Morning, Miss Gibbs.
Good morning, Howie.
You know, too bad about the weather. It's been raining so hard, I think it might clear up.
Certainly hope it will.
How much did you need today?
Well, Howie, I'm going to have a house full of relations. Looks to me like I'll need 3 of milk and 2 of cream.
3 milk, 2 of cream. My wife says to tell you we hope we'll be happy. You know that will.
Thanks a lot, Howie. Tell your wife we hope she gets to the wedding.
She'll get there if she can. Couldn't miss that. Come on, Bessie.
Morning, Mr. Newsom.
Morning, Miss Webb.
I told you 4 quarts of milk, but I hope you can spare me another.
Yes, sir. 2 of cream.
Will it start raining again, Howie?
Well, I was just telling Miss Gibbs how it might clear off for good. Miss Newsom told me especially to tell you we hope we'll be happy. Know that will.
Thank you, and thank Mr. Newsom. We're counting on you to church.
Yes, Miss Webb. We hope you get all right. Couldn't miss that. Come on, Bessie. Well, Mom, today has come. You're losing one of your chicks.
Frank Gibbs, don't you say another word. I feel like crying every minute. Banking will be done in just a minute. Sit down and drink your coffee.
The groom's up shaving himself. Only they're in an awful lot of shade. Whistling seems like he's glad to leave us. Every now and then he says I do to the mirror, but it don't sound convincing to me.
Oh, Frank, I don't know how he'll get along. I've arranged his clothes and seen to it he had more things on, and his feet were dry. They're too young, Frank. Emily won't think of such things. He'll catch his death of cold within a week.
I remember my wedding morning, do you?
Now don't start that, Frank Gibbs.
I was as scared as young fella in the state of New Hampshire. I thought I'd made a mistake for sure. When I saw you coming down that aisle, I thought you were the prettiest girl I'd ever seen. But the only trouble was that I'd never seen you before. There I was in the Congregational Church, married to a total stranger.
And how do you think I felt, Frank? Weddings are perfectly awful things. Farces, that's what they are. Here, I've made you something.
Well, Julia Hurston, French toast.
Pretty hard to make, and I had to do something.
How'd you sleep last night, Julia?
Well, I heard a lot of the hours struck off.
Yeah. I get a shock every time I think of George setting out to be a family man. That great gaming thing. I tell you, Julia, there's nothing so terrifying in the world as the sun. The relation of the father and son is the dangest,
Well,
awkward.
mother and daughter's no picnic, let me tell you.
They'll have a lot of troubles, I suppose, but that's none of our business. Everybody has a right to their own troubles.
Yeah, people are meant to live 2 by 2 in this world. It ain't natural to be optional.
Julia, you know one of the things I was scared of when I married you?
Oh, go on with you.
I was afraid we didn't have material for conversation more than lasted a few weeks. I was afraid we'd run out and eat our meals in silence. That's a fact.
Well, good weather, bad weather. Can't make a choice, but I always find something to say. Did you hear Rebecca stirring around upstairs?
No, only the other year, Rebecca hasn't been managing everybody's business up there. She's hiding in her room. I got the idea she's crying.
Lord sakes, this has got to stop. Rebecca! Rebecca, come and get your breakfast.
morning, everybody. Only 4 more hours to live.
George, dear, where are you going?
Just stepping across the grass to see my girl.
You put on the road. It's just raining torrents outside. You'll catch your death of cold cough all through the service.
Oh, Ma, just a step. George, do as your mother tells you.
Perhaps Mrs. Webb is used to call her from 7 in the morning. From before on, you can cure yourself in all weathers. But while you're in my house, you'll live wisely, thank you. Here, take a cup of coffee first.
Be back in a minute. Good morning, Mother Webb.
Good morning, George. Goodness, you frightened me. Now, George, I hate to say it. You can stand here a minute out of the rain. But, George, I can't ask you in.
Well, why not?
George, you know as well as I do. The groom can't see his bride on the wedding day. Not till he sees her in church.
Oh, that's a superstition. Good morning, Mr. Webb.
Good morning, George.
You don't believe in that superstition, do you?
Well, there's a lot of common sense in superstition, George.
Me as the father, George. Don't you be the first to fly in the face of husband.
How's Emily?
She hasn't waked up yet. I haven't heard a sound out of her.
Emily's asleep?
Well, no wonder your aunts are all hours, sewing and packing. Now, George, I'll tell you what I do. You step down here a minute with Mr. Webb. Drink this cup of coffee. I'll run upstairs and see if she don't come down and surprise you. There's some bacon over there, too, but don't be long about it.
Well, George, how are you?
I'm fine, Mr. Webb. Mr. Webb, what common sense could there be in a superstition like that?
Well, George, on the wedding morning, the girl's head's full of, you know, clothes and one thing or another. Don't you think that's probably it?
Yes. Really never thought of that.
Well, girls have to be a lot nervous on their wedding day, George.
Gee, I wish a person could get married without all that marching up and down.
Well, every man that's ever lived has felt that way, George. But it hasn't been any use. The women folk who build up weddings, my boy. For a while now, they've had it all their own. Yeah. Man looks pretty small at a wedding, George. All those good women standing shoulder to shoulder, making sure that the knot's tied in a mighty public way.
Well, you believe in it, don't you, Mr. Webb?
Yeah. Oh, yes, George, don't misunderstand me. Marriage is a wonderful thing. A wonderful thing. Don't you forget that, George.
No, sir. Mr. Webb, how old were you when you got married?
Well, you see, I'd been to college. I'd taken a little time to get settled, but Miss Webb, she wasn't much older than Emily is. Although age hasn't got much to do with it, George, compared with other things.
What were you going to say, Mr. Webb?
I don't know, was I going to say something? George, I was remembering the other night the advice my father gave me when I got married. Yes, he said, Charles, he said, start right off showing who's the boss. Best thing to do is give an order about something, even if it don't make any sense, just so she'll learn to obey. Oh yes, he said, if anything about her irritates you, her conversation or anything, get right up and leave the house. That'll make it clear to her. Oh yes, he said, never let your wife know about how much money you have. Never.
Mr. Webb, I couldn't exactly...
So I took the opposite of his advice, and I've been happy ever since. Let that be a lesson to you. Never ask advice of anybody on personal matters. George, are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
What?
Are you going to raise chickens on your farm?
Oh, yes. Uncle Lucas never got into chickens much. But I'm figuring on reading up.
George, a book came into my office on the Philo system to raise chickens. You read it. thinking of beginning in a small way myself, in the backyard. Yeah, I'm gonna put an incubator in the cellar.
Charles Webb, he's talking about those incubators again. Well, I thought you two would be talking about things worthwhile.
Well, Myrtle, if you want to give the boys some good advice, then I'll just go upstairs.
George, Emily's got to come down and eat her breakfast. She sends her love, but she doesn't want to lay her eyes on you. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Well, Myrtle, I guess you didn't know about that oath.
What do you mean, Charles?
Since the caveman, no bridegroom should be allowed to see his father-in-law on the day of the wedding. Anywhere near. Now remember that.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Webb. And I have to interrupt again here. You see, I want to know how this began, this wedding, this plan to spend a lifetime together. I'm very interested in how big things like this begin. You know how it is. 21, 22, make some decisions, and you've been a lawyer for 50 years, and that gray-haired lady by your side has had over 50,000 meals with you. How do such things begin? Well, George and Emily are going to show you now the conversation they had when they first knew, as the saying goes, they were meant for one another. But before they do that, I'd like for you to remember when you were young, particularly the days when you first knew you were in love, when you were like a person sleepwalking. You didn't quite see everything that was in front of you. You were just a little crazy. You remember that, please? Now, George and Emily will be coming down Main Street here in a minute. And George has been elected president of the senior class. And as this is June, he'll be president of the senior class all next year. And Emily's just been elected secretary and treasurer. Yeah, they come now.
I can't, Lois. I gotta go home. Goodbye. Oh, Ernestine, can you come over tonight and do Latin? No. Isn't that Cicero the worst thing? Well, tell your mother you have to. Goodbye. Goodbye, Helen. Goodbye, friend.
Emily, can I carry your books home for you?
Why, thank you. It isn't far.
Wait a minute, will you, Emily? Say, Bob, I'm a little late. Start practicing Give Herb some long high ones.
Goodbye, Lizzie.
Goodbye. I'm awful glad you were elected too, Emily.
Thank you.
Emily, why are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you.
Well, you've been treating me so funny lately.
Well, since you asked, I might as well take you right out, George. Oh, goodbye, Miss Cochran.
Goodbye, Miss Cochran. What do you mean?
Well, ever since a year ago, you've had a change come over you lately, George. And I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings for me to tell you, but I've got to tell the truth and shame the devil.
A change? What do you mean?
Well, up to a year ago, I used to like you a lot. And I used to watch you while you did everything. Because we've been such good friends. And then you began spending all your time with baseball. And you never stopped to speak to anyone. Not to really speak. Not even to your own family you didn't. And George, it's a fact. Ever since you've been elected captain, you've gotten awful stuck up and conceited. And all the girls say so. And it hurts me to hear it a little, but I gotta agree with them because it's true.
Gosh, Emily, I never had an idea that such a change was coming over me. I guess it's hard for a fellow not to have some faults creep into his character.
Well, I always expect a man to be perfect, and I think he should be.
Oh, I don't think it's possible to be perfect, Emily.
Well, my father is, and as far as I can see, your father is. And there's no reason on earth why you shouldn't be too.
Well, I feel it's the other way around. But that guys aren't naturally good, but girls are.
Well, you might as well know right now that I'm not perfect. It's not as easy for a girl to be perfect as a man, because we girls are more nervous. Now, I'm sorry I said all those things about you. I don't know what made me say it.
Emily?
And now I can see it's not the truth at all. And suddenly it's not important anyway.
Emily, would you like an ice cream soda or something before you go home?
Well, thank you. I would.
Hello, Stu. How are you? Good afternoon, Miss Sullivan.
Well, hello, George. Hello, Emily. Why, Emily Webb, what's the matter?
She's gotten awful scared, Mr. Morgan. That hardware store wagon almost ran her over. Everybody says that Tom Hankins drives like a crazy man.
Well, hold on, Emily, just a second. Here, Emily, take a good drink of water. I tell you, you gotta look both ways when you cross Main Street these days. It ain't safe anymore. Now, what can I get you?
I'll have a strawberry phosphate, Mr. Morgan.
No, Emily. Have a soda with me.
Well,
2 strawberry ice cream sodas, Mr. Morgan.
2 strawberry ice cream sodas coming up. You know what? There are 250 horses in Grover's Corners at this minute. I tell you, the state inspector was in here yesterday. Now they're bringing in these automobiles. I tell you, it ain't safe anymore. I mean, I remember back in the old days, the dog used to lay out on the street all day, and nothing ever come along to disturb it. And there you go. Well, what's that, Miss Ellis? Be with you in a second. Now, what can I do for you?
they're so expensive.
No, don't think of that, Emily. We're celebrating our election. And do you know what else I'm celebrating?
No.
I'm celebrating because I've got a friend who tells me all the things that ought to be told of me.
Oh, George, please don't think of that. I don't know why I said it. It's not true. You're...
No, Emily. You stick to it. I'll change. Emily, I promise I'll change. And Emily, I have to ask you a favor.
What?
Emily, if I go away to state agricultural school next year, will you write me a letter once in a while?
I certainly will. I certainly will, George. It certainly seems like being away 3 years, people would get out of touch with things. Maybe letters from Grover's Corners wouldn't be so interesting after a while. Grover's Corners is the most important place when you think of all New Hampshire, but I think it's a very nice town.
The day would come when I wouldn't want to know everything that happens in our little town.
I'll try to make the letters interesting.
You know, Emily, whenever I meet a farmer, I ask him if he thinks it's important to go to agricultural school to be a good farmer.
Why, George?
Yeah. And some of them say it's even a waste of time. Why, sure. You can get all that stuff anyway in the pamphlets the government sends out. And Uncle Luke's getting old. And he's about ready for me to start taking over his farm tomorrow. If I could.
My.
And like you said, being gone all that time, different places and meeting other people, gosh, then like that could happen, then I don't want to go. I guess new people probably aren't any better than old ones. I guess they almost never are. And I don't need to go away and meet other people in other towns to know that's true, Emily.
But George, maybe it's important for you to go and learn all that about cattle judging and skulls and those things. Of course, I don't know.
Emily, I'm going to make up my mind right now. I won't go. I'll tell Pa about it tonight.
But George, I don't see why you have to decide right now. It's a whole year away.
Emily, I'm glad you spoke to me like you did. What you said was right. But there was one thing wrong with it. That's when you said that I wasn't noticing people. And you, for instance. Why, you said you were watching me when I did everything. But I was doing the same thing the entire time. Why, sure. I always thought about you as one of the chief people I thought about. I always made sure where you were sitting and who you were with. And for 3 days now, I've tried to walk you home. But something always got in the way. Yesterday yesterday you walked home with Miss Cochran.
Oh, George, life's awful funny. How could I have known that? I thought,
Emily, I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to agricultural school. I think once you found a person you're fond of, a person who's fond of you too, and who likes you well enough to be interested in your character, well, I think that's as important as college is. Even more so. That's what I think.
I think it's awfully important too.
Emily?
Yes, George.
Emily, if I do go away, no, Emily. If I do stay and make a big change, would you be, could you be?
I am now, and I always have been.
So I guess this is an important talk we've been having.
Yes. Yes.
Wait just a minute. I'll walk you home.
Thank you, Miss Ellis. Now you come again.
Mr. Morgan? I'll have to go home and get you the money to pay for this.
George Gibbs, do you mean to tell me?
But Mr. Morgan, I had good reason. Look, here's my gold watch. Keep it till I come back with the money.
I keep your watch, George. I'll trust you. Only trust you 10 years, though. Not a day over. Got all over your shop, Emily?
Why, yes. Thank you, Mr. Morgan. It was nothing.
That's good.
I'm ready.
Well now, let's get to the wedding. There are a lot of thoughts that can go on during the wedding. There's a lot of things that can happen during the wedding. Naturally, we can't get them all into one wedding. Especially not in a wedding thrown to corners, which are mighty short and plain. But in this play, I take the part of a minister. Yep. For a while now, the play was pretty serious. It's like what Miss Gibbs said a while ago. People are supposed to live 2 by 2. People are pretty young, but they come from a good state. And they chose right. And let's not forget the real hero of the scene. Not even on stage at all. And you all know who that is. Yep, it's like what one of those European fellas said. Every time a baby's born into the world, it's nature's attempt to make a perfect human being. Well, we've seen nature pushing and contriving for some time now. We all know she's interested in quantity. But I think she's interested in quality, too. Maybe she's trying to make another good gunner for New Hampshire. At least that's what Emily hopes. And don't forget the other witnesses at this wedding. The ancestors. Millions of them. Most of them set out to live, 2 by 2. Millions of them. Well, that's all my sermon. It wasn't very long anyway.
I don't know why on earth I should be crying. I suppose there's nothing to cry about. This morning it came over me. There was Emily, eating her breakfast that she'd done for 17 years. And she's going out of my house. I suppose that's it. And Emily, she suddenly said, I can't eat another mouthful. And she put her head on the table and she cried. Oh, I've got to say it. You know, there's something downright cruel about sending girls into marriages like that. It's cruel, I know, but I just couldn't get myself to say anything. I went into it blind as a bat myself. My world's wrong. What's the matter? There they come.
George.
Oh, George.
Gonna make a home run, George.
Look at him, Dylan. He's scared to death.
You have to look so innocent, you old geezer.
All right, guys. All right, come on. Let's go.
Steve,
Oh,
George.
It used to be awful lot of this kind of thing back in the old days. Roman later. They say we're more civilized now. So they say.
George, what's the matter?
Oh, Mom, I don't want to grow old. Why's everyone pushing me so?
Well, George, you wanted it?
No, Mom, listen to me.
No, George, you're a man now.
No, Mom, for the last time. All I want to do is to be a fella.
Now you stop. If anyone should hear you, well, I'm ashamed of you.
Where's Emily?
George, you gave me such a turn.
Cheer up, Mom. Get married.
Let me catch my breath a minute.
Now, Mom, you say Thursday nights. Emily and I are coming over every Thursday night. You'll see. Why, Mom? Why do you look so funny? Come on. You gotta get ready for this.
I never felt so alone in my whole life. George over there. I hate him. I wish I were dead.
Papa.
Now, Emily, don't get upset.
But Papa, darling, I want to get married.
Now, Emily, you're just nervous.
But why can't I stay for a while just as I am?
Now, stop thinking it.
But Papa, don't you remember what you always used to say? That I was your girl. There must be lots of places where you know. I could work for you. I could keep house.
Now, you're just nervous. George, can you come here for a minute? Well, you're marrying the best young fellow in the world. George is a fine fellow.
But Papa,
George, I'm giving my daughter away today. Do you think you can take care of her?
I want to, Mr. Webb. I want to try. Emily, I'll do my best. I love you, Emily. I need you.
and if you love me, help me. All I want is someone to love me.
Emily, I'll try. I'll try.
And I mean forever, do you hear? Forever and ever.
Come on now, you know everything's gonna be alright.
You, George, make this woman deal with it.
Perfectly lovely wedding. Love this wedding I ever saw. I do love a good wedding, don't you? Don't you make some lovely bride?
As long as you both are here.
I do.
You, Emily, this man George.
Oh no, we have seen such a lovely wedding. But I always cry. Don't know why it is, but I always cry. Aren't they lovely?
I do.
Marie, by the powers invested in me, now pronounce you man and wife. You may kiss the bride. I've married more than 200 couples in my day. Do I believe in it? I guess I do. M marries M. Millions of them. Cottage, the go-kart, first rheumatism, grandchildren, second rheumatism, deathbed, reading of the will. Once in 1,000 times. It's interesting.
Aren't they a lovely couple? Oh, I'm sure they'll be happy. I always say happiness. That's the main thing. The important thing is to be happy.
Well, that's in the second act, folks. 10-minute intermission. This time, 9 years have gone by, friends. Summer, 1913. Gradual changes in Grover's Corners. Horses are becoming rarer. Farmers coming to town on Fords. Everybody locks their doors now, but there haven't been any burglars in town yet. You'd be surprised, though. On the whole, things don't change much around here. Well, this is certainly an important part of Grover's Corners. It's on a hilltop, windy hilltop. Lots of sky, lots of clouds, often lots of sunny moon and stars. You come up here on a fine afternoon, you can see range on range of hills. All blue they are, up there by Lake Sunapee, Lake Winnipesaukee. And if you go a little further up, you see the White Mountains, Mount Washington, where Conway, North Conway are. And right here is our favorite mountain, Mount Monadnock, and around it by the towns of Jaffrey, North Jaffrey, Peterborough, Dublin. And there, quite a ways down, is Grover's Corners. Yes, beautiful spot up here. Mount Laurel, Lilac. Can't understand why people like to be buried in Woodlawn and Brooklyn when they might pass the same time up here in New Hampshire. Well, over here the old stones, 1660, 1670, strong-minded individuals. Come a long way to be independent, though they'd never seen. Some people walk around here and laugh the funny words on the tombstones. They don't do no harm. And genealogists come up from Boston, get paid by city folk, look up their ancestors, want to make sure they're daughters of the American Revolution or of the Mayflower. Well, I guess that don't do any harm either. And over here, there's some Civil War veterans, iron flags on their graves. New Hampshire boys had a notion the Union ought to be kept together, though they'd never seen more than 50 miles of it themselves, friends. All they knew was the name, the United States of America. The United States of America. And they went and they died about it. Well, over here is a new section. There's your friend Mrs. Gibbs, Mr. Stimson, the organist of the Congregational Church, and Mrs. Soames, who liked that wedding so much, remember? Oh, and a lot of others. Editor Webb's boy, Wallace, who was appendix person on the camping trip to Crawford Notch. Yep, awful lot of grief was kind of quieted down up here. People just wild with sorrow come up to this hill on sunny days, rainy days, snow. You know how it is. A lot of thoughts come up here too, night and day. But there ain't no post office. Now everybody has some thoughts that they don't take out and look at very often. Everybody knows that there's something eternal. It ain't houses, and it ain't names, and it ain't earth, and it ain't even the stars. Everybody knows that something is eternal. And that something has to do with human beings. You know, dead people don't stay interested in us living people very long. Gradually, they slowly grow indifferent to the things that happen in Grover's Corners. They step here and get weaned away from it. And that's the way I put it, weaned away. They sit out here while the earth part of them burns out and burns away. And they slowly let go of the things they have, and the things they love, and the people and they love, and the things they suffer. They wait up here while the earth part of them burns out, burns away. They're waiting for something they feel is coming, something important. Aren't they waiting for the earth, kernel part of them to come out clear? Now, some of the things they're going to say will probably hurt your feelings, but that's the way it goes. Mother and daughter, husband and wife, enemy and enemy, money and money. All those dreadfully important things kind of go pale around here. And what's left? What's left when your identity is gone? And your memories, Mrs. Smith? Well, here's some living people. There's Joe Stoddard, undertaker, gun to supervise the New May grave. And there's Sam Craig, Grover's Corners boy that left town to go out west.
Good afternoon, Joe Stoddard.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let me see. Do I know you?
I'm Sam Craig.
Gracious sakes alive, of all people. I should have known you were that good, you know. You've been away a long time, Sam.
Yes, I've been away for 12 years. But I was in the East when I got news of my cousin's death. So I thought I could find things with it. Come back to the old home. You look good.
Yes, can't get enough.
Very sorry journey today, Samuel.
Yes, yes.
Yes, always say, I hate to supervise when a young person's taken. They'll be here in a few minutes. I had to come over today. My son's supervising at the home.
Oh, Paul McCarthy. I used to do chores for him after school. That little baby.
Yes, we brought Farmer McCarthy here a number of years ago.
Well, this is my Aunt Julia. I forget that she... Oh, of course, of course.
Yes, Doc Gibbs lost his wife 2 or 3 years ago about this time. And she does today's another bad way for him.
That's my sister Carrie's boy, Sam. Sam Craig.
I'm always uncomfortable when they're around.
Simon.
Bet she's been on verses as much as Joe.
No, not usual. Mostly the brief thicker verse.
That doesn't sound like Aunt Julia. Well, there aren't many of us persons, sisters, left now. Let's see. I want to look at my father's and mother's.
Over there, look at Craig. I didn't even ask.
He was always at the church, wasn't he? Drank a lot, we used to say.
Yes, kids ain't affected trouble. Took his own life, you know.
Yeah?
I am telling that. They tried to hush it up, but it got around. Chose to another time. You can see it there, it ain't exactly a verse.
One's just a note of music. What is it?
Oh, I wouldn't know it. It was written up in the papers at the time.
What did she die of, Joe?
Who?
My cousin.
Oh, didn't you know? Had some trouble bringing a baby into the world. Was her second, though. Has a boy, about 4.
And the grave's gonna be over here?
Yes. The right now room would be Gibbs, so they're opening up a whole new Gibbs section over on Avenue B. If you'll excuse me now, I see that they're coming.
Who is it, Julia? My daughter-in-law, Emily Webb.
Well, I declare. The road up here must have been awfully muddy. What'd she die of, Julia?
In childbirth.
Childbirth? I'd forgotten all about that. Wasn't like awful? And wonderful.
Wonderful, was it?
Simon. Now remember.
I remember Emily's wedding. And I remember her reading the class poem at graduation exercise. She was one of the brightest girls ever graduated out of high school. I've heard Principal Wilkins say so time after time. I visited their new farm just before I died. Perfectly beautiful farm.
It was on the same road we lived on.
Yeah, right smart farm.
I always liked that hymn. I was hoping they'd sing a hymn. Hello, Emily.
Hello, Mrs. Gibbs.
Hello, Mother Gibbs.
Emily.
Hello. It's raining.
Yes, they'll be gone soon, dear. Just rest yourself.
It seems thousands and thousands of years since Papa remembered that was my favorite hymn. Oh, I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being in here. Oh, how do you do, Mr. Stetson?
How do you do, Emily?
Mother Gibbs, George and I have made that farm. It's just the best place you ever saw. We thought about you all the time. We wanted to show you the new barn and the great long cement drinking fountain for the stock. We bought that out of the money you left us.
I did?
Don't you remember, Mother Gibbs, the legacy you left us? Why, it was over $350.
Yes, Emily.
Well, there's a patent device on the drinking fountain so that it never overflows, Mother Gibbs. And it never sinks below a certain mark they have there. It's fine. It won't be the same to George without me. But it's a lovely farm. A lot of people don't understand, do they?
No, dear. Not very much.
They're sort of shut up in little boxes. I feel as though I knew them last 1,000 years ago. My little boy's spending the day at Mrs. Carter's house. Oh, Mr. Carter, my little boy's spending the day at your house.
Is he?
Yes, he loves it there. We have a Ford too, Mother Gibbs. Never gives a bit of trouble. I don't drive though. Mother Gibbs, when does this feeling go away? Of being one of them? How long does it?
Hush, dear. Just wait and be patient.
I know. Look, they're finished. They're gone. Look, Father Gibbs is bringing some of my flowers to you. He looks just like George, doesn't he? Oh, Mother Gibbs, I never realized how troubled and how in the dark lots persons are. Look at him. I loved him so. From morning till night. That's all they are. Trouble.
A little cooler than it was.
Oh, yeah. That rain pulled it off a bit.
Yeah, that northeast wind always does the same thing, don't it? If it ain't a rain, it's a 3-day blow.
But Mother Gibbs, one can go back. One can go back there again into the living. I feel it. I know it. Well, just then for a moment I was thinking about the farm. And for a minute I was there. And my baby was on my lap. As plain as day.
Yes, of course you can.
I can go back there and live again. Why not?
All I can say is, Emily, don't.
But it's true, isn't it? I can go back there again and live.
Yes, some have tried, but they soon come back here.
Don't do it, Emily.
Emily, don't. It's not what you think it is. Oh, but I won't choose a sad day. I'll choose a happy one. I'll choose the day that I first knew that I loved George. Oh, no. No. Why should that be painful?
You not only live it, but you watch yourself living it.
Yes.
And as you watch yourself living it, you know the things that they, down there, never know. You know the future. You know what's going to happen afterwards.
But is that painful? Why?
That's not the only reason why you shouldn't do it, Emily. When you've been here longer, you'll see that our life here is to forget all that and think of what is ahead and be ready for what is ahead. When you've been here longer, you'll understand.
But Mother Gibbs, how can I ever forget that life? It's all I know. It's all I have. It isn't wise, Emily. Really, it isn't. But it's the thing I must know for myself. I'll choose a happy day anyway.
No. At least choose an unimportant day. The least important day of your life. It will be important enough.
Well, then it can't be since I was married or since the baby was born. I can choose a birthday at least, Hannah. I choose my 12th birthday.
All right. It's February 11th, 1899, a Tuesday. Would you like any special time of the day?
Oh, I want the whole day.
We'll begin at dawn. You remember it had been snowing for several days, and it stopped the night before, and it just begun clearing the roads. Look, the sun's coming in.
Look, there's Main Street. Why, that's Mr. Morgan's drugstore before he changed it. And there's the livery stable.
Yes, this is 1899. This was 14 years ago.
Oh, that's the town I knew as a little girl. Look, there's the white fence that used to be around our house. I love this so. Are they inside?
Yes, your mother will be coming downstairs in a minute to make breakfast.
Will she?
And remember, your dad had been away for several days, but he'd come back in the early morning train.
No.
He'd been back to his old college in western New York, at Clinton.
Look, there's Howie Newsom. There's our policeman. But he's dead. He died.
Whoa, Betsy. Morning, Bill.
Morning, Howie.
You're up early.
We're going to the party at the college down there. Got drunk down in his snowdrift. Thought he was in bed when I shook him.
Children, time to get up. Oh, how young Mama looks. I never knew Mama was ever that young. You can come and dress by the fire if you like, but hurry. Morning, Mr. Newsom.
Morning, Swift.
It's cold.
Yeah. Give me a little on my morning, Swift.
Think of it. You better keep yourself wrapped up.
Come on, Betsy. Here.
Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere. Just open your eyes, dear, that's all. I let it out for you special on the dresser there. Why, if it were a snake, it'd bite you. Yes.
Good morning, Bill.
Morning, Mr. Webb. You're up early.
Yeah. Been back to my old college in New York State. Been any trouble here?
Well, I was called upon this morning to rescue a Polish fellow. Darn near froze to death he was.
You don't say. Well, we gotta get that paper.
Wasn't much.
Morning, Mother.
How did it go, Charles?
Oh, fine, I guess. I told him a few things. Everything all right here?
Been right cold. How did it since that 10 below over to the barn?
You don't say. Well, it's colder than that over at Hamilton College. Students' ears are falling off. It ain't Christian. Ever have any mistakes in it?
None that I noticed. Poppy's ready when you want it. Charles, don't forget it's Emily's birthday. Do you remember to get anything?
Oh, yeah, I got something right here. Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
Don't interrupt her now, Charles. She's slow enough as it is. You can see her at breakfast. Hurry up, children. I don't want to call you again. I can't bear it. They're so young and beautiful. Why did they ever have to get old? Mama, I'm here. I love you all. Everything. I can't look at everything hard enough. Can I go in? Good morning, Mama. Well now, dear, a very happy birthday to my girl and many happy returns. There's surprises waiting for you on the kitchen table. Oh, Mama, you shouldn't have. But birthday or no birthday, I want you to grow up and be a good, strong girl. That's the blue paper from your Aunt Carrie. And I reckon you can guess who the postcard I was from. I brought it in this morning with the milk. George kid. Must have come over the cold pretty early. Right now for him. Oh, George. I'd forgotten that. Oh. Chew the bacon good and slow. It'll help keep you warm on a cold day. Oh, Mama. Just look at me for 1 minute. As though you really saw me. 14 years have gone by, Mama. I'm dead. You're a grandmother, Mama. Wally's dead too. His appendix burst on a camping trip to Crawford Night. We felt just terrible about it. Don't you remember? But just for a moment now, we're all together. Mama, just for a moment, let's be happy. Let's look at one another. That in the yellow paper is something I found in the Avenue on your grandmother's thing. You're old enough to wear it now, and I thought you'd like it. And this is from you? Why, Mama, it's lovely. It's just what I wanted. It's beautiful. Well, I hope you like it. I hunt it all over. Your Aunt Nora can find one in Concord, so I had to send all the way to Boston. Wally has something for you, too. He made it at manual training class, and he's very fond of it. Be sure to make a big fuss. Oh, your father has something for you, too. Don't know what it is myself. Here he comes.
Where's my girl? Where's my birthday girl?
I didn't realize. So all that was going on, and we never noticed. Take me back up the hill to my grave. But first, wait. One last look. Goodbye. Goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corners. Goodbye to Mama, Papa. Goodbye to clocks ticking and my butternut tree. And Mama's sunflowers. Food and coffee. And new iron dresses and hot baths. And sleeping and waking up. Oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anyone to realize you. Do any human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute?
No. Saints and poets, they do so.
I'm ready to go back.
Were you happy?
No. I should have listened to you. That's all human beings are. Just blind people.
Look, it's clearing up. The stars are coming out.
Oh, Mr. Stimson, I should have listened to them.
Yes. Now you know. Now you know what it was to be alive. To walk around in a cloud of ignorance, trampling up and down on the feelings of those about you. Spend and waste time as though you had 1,000,000 years. To be at the mercy of one's self-centered passion. Now you know that happy existence you wanted to go back to. Ignorance and blindness.
That ain't the whole truth, and you know it, Simon Stimson. Look at that star, Emily. I forget its name.
My boy Joe was a sailor. Knew them all. Used to sit on the porch evenings and tell them all by name. Yes, sir, wonderful.
Star's mighty good company.
Yes, it is.
There's one of them.
That's funny. Tain't no time for him to be here. Goodness.
Mother Gibbs, it's George. It's George.
And my Joe, who knew the stars, he used to say it took millions of years for that little speck of light to get down to earth. Don't seem like the body could believe it. That's what he used to say. Millions of years.
Why? Emily, why?
Goodness. That ain't no way to act.
He ought to be at home. Mother Gibbs,
Yes, Emily?
they don't understand, do they?
No, dear. They don't understand.
Everybody's asleep in Grover's Corners, but there's still a few people sitting up. Shorty Hawkins in the depot has just watched the Albany train go by, and there's some people sitting up in the livery stable talking. Yep, stars coming out. There they are doing their old cross in the sky. Scholars haven't settled the matter yet, but they seem to think there's no living beings up there, just chalk or fire. And only this one is straining away to make something of itself. Strain so great that every 16 hours everybody has to lie down and take a rest. 11 o'clock in Grover's Corners. Everybody's asleep in Grover's Corners. Tomorrow's another day. You get a good rest too. Good night.
Mr. Hort, quiet,
program that I would like to say. Mr. Hart, wherever you are, we love you. Thank you for all your help.
Yeah.